sì, 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 sì. Ci sono anche un po' di sì, 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 più avanti. Quello qua forse fa l'impressione perché è subito dietro al castello scozzese. Sì, sì, dietro al castello. Dietro? Sì, sì, dietro. E quella era la piazza d'arte, infatti è quella che era la piazza d'arte austriaca e poi è diventata
ndio imwe area inonakidza manje yebhotani. Saka bhotani unozonyanya kunakirwa nayo kana ukaistanda uchibatanidza nechemistry. Ndakaita medicinal chemistry pa-MS. Medicinal chemistry ne-forensic chemistry. Ine zvandakaita ndaita process yekuextracta ma-chemicals mataida anoshandiswa for kurapa nyongo mumhiripiri. Unaona element yekuti mhiripiri inoshandiswa kurapa nyongo. So process yacho yekuextracta the chemicals ndio zvindaingoita kungoextracta chitaitoitiswa ka sort of ka mini project. It was part of the ingredients akangoextracta ndava ndaita zvekuboilisa mumvura boilisa mumvura ubva taita samasembusa acho because inokurapa kana uchidya during cooking. So you boil then yobuda yaka saka papaneka kamushini kamakataiva nako biological scientist kaitoraniwa naningirikeni kaitoraniwa nanatechnician mudhara ainzi chimbira. So yakabva atanga kutozviita achitiitira isusu.
Dear participant, welcome, good morning. Maybe we take the occasion during the trip, also the placement from our hotel to the second day Congress workshop venue in Federchimica, maybe to say few words about the city. Unfortunately, because of some limitation due to the municipality of Milan, we cannot cross the very city center, the historical city center. However, we are going through the boulevards, the series of avenues and boulevards that is surrounding the city center of Milan. Just before we have passed by the park, the so-called Giardini Pubblici, public gardens that were founded at the end, in the middle of 19th century during the French invasion and occupation of Milan and the northern part of Italy. Now you see that, for example, also here in this square, on the that part of gardens, of public gardens, where the private park of the royal villa, where the viceroy, so the Governor General of the French here in Italy, used to live for the Emperor Napoleon I. And here, for example, on the right, you can see one of the city gates. This is Porta Garibaldi, named after the hero of the unification of Italy, Giuseppe Garibaldi. And that kind of gate was built during the 16th century, 16th, 17th century, when during the Spanish period occupation of the Duchy of Milan. So practically we are going around the former ring of the city walls that was built at that time, and then at the end of the 19th century was completely destroyed to open new boulevards and avenues. On our right, we can also see in the skyline with some skyscrapers of the new area around Piazza Gaiolenti, the Gaiolenti Square. That is the new part of the business district of Milan. You can see it on the right part. The spire on the top of the skyscraper is the highest point, the highest part, and and the tallest building here in Milan. The city center, only to give you an idea, is to our left-hand side, and if you go directly also here, now we are crossing another gate of the city, also Porta Nuova before, Porta Garibaldi, this one, sorry, I got in confusion. You see that there is the city gate just in the middle, with statues and carvings of the beginning of the 19th century. And the two buildings just beside the city gate were the customs, the municipal customs, because when, particularly in the past, you had to get out and get in Milan, you had to pay taxes for, here you can see to the right. And so this was the municipal customs that you had to pass by to enter or to exit the city, especially in the past. The system of the municipal customs then was discontinued just before the First World War, when the tax system changed completely. Now, and then you will see another, these of the custom tools and buildings, in another one just to our right. Yes, and so now we are going to turn left. However, you can see at the very end, now at the next junction to the right, you'll see at the end of your site, you'll see the so-called Cimitero Monumentale. Is the cemetery built in the middle of the 19th century to host tombstones and monuments and funeral monuments of the most notable and remarkable citizens of Milan. You will see just at the end in white marble. Now it's impossible now to see it, but just passing by after the traffic light, you can see it on at the end of the avenue. And many famous artists of carving and statue making worked there. Here you can see just at the end, it seems like a church, but this is not a church, it's only the cemetery, one of the two biggest cemeteries here in Milan. And now we will pass by at the end of this avenue. There is also the municipality arena, is a sort of stadium built, however, at the very beginning of the 19th century, again under the Napoleon period, to host public shows and public ceremonies, also we could say from sports and also military ceremonies of the French Empire during the occupation by the French army of Lombardy that lasted from at the end of the 18th century until 1815. Also in this part, maybe some of you had the occasion to visit the area, is close to the so-called Parco Sempione, the largest urban park here in Milan, named after Corso Sempione and Porta Sempione. Sempione is the Simplon Pass, the main alpine pass joining Italy to Switzerland and then France. And so it was the main route leading to Paris. And so also in that case, due to the strict links between Italy and France at that period. And so just in front of us, you'll see the larger Parco Sempione, the large park, the urban park for that, and just beyond these maple trees, you can see the arena is a sort of neoclassical sort of coliseum of stadium built around 1810 in those years. So practically, only to give you an idea, if you walk down to the left side, you can reach the Castello Sforzesco, the largest Sforza castle, who was built by the Dukes of Milan, starting from the end of the Middle Ages, so we are talking about 13th, 14th century, full in brick. It is the largest medieval castle in Lombardy and northern Italy. It hosted the military seat of the Duchy of Milan. Actually, the dukes used to stay in a residence in the nowadays Royal Palace, just next to the cathedral, just next to the Duomo. But in the Sforza Castle, in the Castello Sforzesco, you can still visit their museum. Inside the museum, there is a very renowned museum for medieval art and arts and paintings. There is also part that host frescoes by Leonardo da Vinci. But pay attention, of course, the famous Last Supper is not there in the Castello Sforzesco, is in another part of Milan, just close to the Basilica of Santa Maria delle Grazie. However, within the castle, the Sforza Castle, there is also located the last statue by Michelangelo, the so-called Pietà Rondanini. Is a statue showing Our Lady, the Virgin Mary, beholding the Jesus, dead Jesus, but the opera, the masterpiece, has not been completed. So is a famous example of unfinished artistic masterpiece, and a lot of comments and experts of ancient art are debating about the symbols and how Michelangelo worked at that part and that block of marble. And then now we are in this half-circular avenue. We are reaching Corso Sempione in a few dozens of meters, and you will see on your left. I'll tell you when we arrive in a couple of minutes. The so-called Arco della Pace, the peace arch, the arch dedicated to peace, and it was dedicated. You can also see on the left in these parts of the narrow streets. Again, it is similar to Arc de Triomphe, the Triumph Arch that is now found in Paris. You can see on the top also some classical statues. Maybe I don't know if we can also see in these narrow street. No, because there is a house. There is a house there. And however, starting from here, the park, the Sempione Park, the park just behind the Sforza Castle, led to the main boulevard, the ones that we are taking now in few meters, and the road leading to Paris. So the main link between Milan and Paris, that at that time, we are talking about the first decade of the 19th century, was the main the capital city of the French Empire. So you see, in this area, most of the buildings were built or in the second half of the 19th century, or in other cases, they're more recent, of the 1950s, 1960s. Take into account that during Second World War, 70% of the buildings in Milan were destroyed by the bombing of the Allied forces, especially during Air Force raids in 1943. especially when Italy actually was broken in two parts. The southern part was already allied with USA, the British Empire, and the Allied forces, and on the contrary, the northern Italy, the plain of Po, Lombardy, and the region surrounding, was still linked to the Nazis, Germany, and the fascist regime. And so for that, Milan suffered from severe bombings, air raids during 1943 and 1944 that destroyed most of the urban buildings and the urban network of the city. That's why also if you go in the very city center, close to the cathedral, the Duomo, or close to Piazza La Scala, the La Scala Theater, you can see maybe ancient building just next to modern building of the 1950, 1960, that were of course rebuilt again after the destructions and after the ruins of the Second World War. Now we are really close to our destination, to the Federchimica headquarters. It's just one block aside from here. I think that's all. Don't hesitate also to ask us also for some suggestion if you have some free time, maybe also or today also to tomorrow afternoon. We will be happy to share with us some suggestion and hints. Thank you.
Thank you.